So I just briefly want to go into lenses and have a look at the choices that you might have when you're planning your shoots and when you're going out filming. There's a couple of different options that you might want to look at. So with zoom lenses, these come in all different shapes and sizes and all different focal lengths. So you can cover most of your shoot with a couple of these depending on what you're doing. So the main benefit of this is it's basically multiple lenses in one lens. So you've got all these different focal lengths that you can go through without having to change lenses, without having to move necessarily. You could go around all day with just this lens on your camera and be absolutely fine. This covers such a great practical range. Fantastic lens. The main positive about using a zoom lens is the convenience. You're saving a lot of time, you're not having to change lenses out constantly, depending on which shot you want. You can just zoom in, reframe, and you're good to go pretty much. So that's probably the main reason you'd want to use these. And I think the zoom lenses generally come in your camera kits at the uni. So if you book a camera out, chances are it's going to have something along the lines of this with it. So this will seem pretty familiar to a lot of people. Because of this, these are really good for traveling. If you're going on a shoot and you're going to have to travel there and you've not got much space in your bag to put a lot of gear in, something like this, a 24-70 or a 24-105 or something similar will be fantastic. So just bang that one lens in and you'll be good to go, and you'll be able to cover most things, if not everything that you need to do. Best use of lenses like this, personally for me, is when you're running and gunning and you are running about and you're covering events as they happen in real time, whether that's sports, documentaries, wildlife, weddings, events, anything where you don't have the time to stop and change lenses and think about what you're doing lens-wise. Just by having one of these stuck on your camera at all times is absolutely the way to go. So I've got a bunch of different zoom lenses in my kit. I've got a 10-20, which is a really nice little, very wide angle lens. The 24-70 that I've just been holding, which is a brilliant all-purpose lens and one that can just stay with you all day. And I've also got the 70-200, which is great for anything that's obviously a bit further away, so you can stand back and zoom in on that. So with these three lenses, I can cover 10-200 millimeters, which is pretty much good enough for most situations. And then there's also prime lenses. And what a prime lens is, this is a fixed focal length. So for example, this one's a 50mm lens. So you can't zoom on these lenses. Whatever focal length this is, that's all you can shoot. So if you want to zoom, you have to zoom with your feet and go towards the subject or back off if you want to get a wider shot. You get a much bigger aperture in a prime lens. So when we was talking about the shallow depth of field the other week, these are great for that because this one goes to f1.5, which means this opens up really wide, lets a lot of light in, and allows for that really shallow look. And because of this, shooting in low light situations, whether it's a bit darker or if you're in a location or a venue and the lighting isn't great, by shooting f4 on a zoom lens, that may not cut it and you may get dark, grainy images. But if you've got a prime lens that can open up as much as one of these, then that covers you a lot more and makes you able to shoot in much more difficult situations and environments. So you'd probably use these more when you've got more time for your shoot, so a more considered shoot, whether that's a drama shoot or a music video, when you've got time to set up your shot and take time rather than having to capture the action as it's happening. So I've got three prime lenses in my kit. So I have the 35mm, the 50mm and the 85mm. These are all manual focus lenses, so there's no autofocus when you're using these. So if you plan on getting hold of some of these, bear that in mind if you're used to shooting in autofocus. But they also have a manual iris as well, which is fantastic. So you can dial in your aperture as accurately as possible to whatever you need. But obviously I encourage you to use both these types of lenses and see which works best for you. What works best for me isn't going to be the same for you. What works best for someone doing wildlife isn't going to be the best thing for someone who's doing drama, etc. So I generally mix up what I'm doing. I'll have a zoom and maybe a 50mm prime for when I need that. So depending on what the job is, depending on what I'm filming, I'll kind of adapt my kit of lenses to whatever job that is. So yeah, go to the kit store and see what they've got, grab a few things and test them out and see which works best for you.